I can define social Darwinism, Jingoism, imperialism, criticize the annexation of Hawaii, criticize the Spanish and American War. These first three, low-level thinking, that's fine. If you're watching these videos and just remembering facts and developing an understanding, that's okay. Your understanding of social studies, your understanding of history, your understanding of what the future will be, all depends on laying a foundation of facts. Set a timer for 14 minutes and 30 seconds. If you can get to this high-level stuff, awesome.
Would you like to replace it?
Yes!
Okay.
I should be less rude with Siri.
Seconds.
Social Darwinism, I want you to be able to define this. In the struggle for survival, the fittest went out at the expense of their rivals because they succeed in adapting themselves best to their environment. Now, it sounds like a battle between wars. So that's really probably not the best quote to take. But what we're talking about is animals adapting to their environment over millions and millions of years and developing little different characteristics that make it better for them to live, whether that be a bigger beak, longer claws, more fur, whatever it is. These little teeny naturally selected adaptations that happen through mutations and just luck that allow to some animals to live and some die. And then we take that idea and then they apply it to human beings out of racism. It's just straight racism. We look at what really happens is we've got white progressives, and if you want to delete the video or leave because I'm talking poorly of the progressives, then that's, I think, poorly of you. White people have all the power and the money. They look for a reason to justify their superiority, and they take these ideas of Darwin and they apply them to human beings inaccurately and incorrectly. It's just simply bad science by the progressives. That's all. Again, if you're mad at me for disparaging the progressives, hang on. I'll explain these claims a little bit more here in a second. It makes sense for animals. The bird that developed a little bit longer beak probably could get food that the other birds couldn't, so it's more likely to survive. That makes sense. But we're talking also about millions and millions and millions of years of evolution. We're not talking about a couple hundred years of human beings being on this earth. The skin color is not a genetic mutation that really makes one race more superior than the other. It's just simply the result of where you were living and based on the amount of sunlight that you were given. The brains of white people were not more superior. The brains of black people were not inferior. And nonetheless, we get this bad progressive science that is simply used to justify imperialism. It is used to justify racist actions. It's used to justify giving black people less rights, putting black people into slavery. That's it. Instead of like, oh no, I'm not racist. The science is on my side. That is simply all it is. There's no such thing really as social Darwinism. It's taking Darwin's ideas and incorrectly applying them to human beings. Just straight racist. And you can read at the bottom of the screen, race really isn't really a thing. Race is created by racists. We are all the same, but some racist people want to be different. They want to be higher, and they want to find a reason to put someone below them. And what reason they come up with? There's got to be your skin color. That's why you're weaker than me. It's made up. Our DNA is pretty much the same. So we take this bad idea of social Darwinism by the progressives, and people are saying, no, I Googled it up. It says it was a conservative idea. It's not the progressives. You just hate progressives. I looked at a bunch of different web pages. That's true. The progressives have gone through the internet and tried to scrub clean the history, and they've made it really hard. It's not hard. If you Google social Darwinism and progressives, then you're not going to find it. But if you Google eugenics, which is the direct result of social Darwinism, that's right. Eugenics is social Darwinism in practice, in application. Social Darwinism is just the idea. But then when you start acting it out, it's called eugenics. And what was eugenics? It was where the progressives, and you can Google that because you're going to see eugenics is the progressives. It's the practice of the progressives to tell these inferior races that you can't breed. We're trying to create a really modern, advanced society. And if we're going to create an advanced society, we need only the smart people to breed. And the science says only the smart people are the white people. So the black people, you are not allowed to have more children. And they go even a step further. Not only do the progressives pass laws that prevent the recreation of black people or people with disabilities or people that they deem just aren't smart enough. But the progressives go as far as to sterilize and make it physically impossible for black people to reproduce because they don't want more black children because they're inferior. We saw that in another video. That was the progressives. So when you look for progressives and social Darwinism, you can't find any links on the internet because it's been scrubbed clean. But if you look at progressives and eugenics, which is the actual application and putting into practice this idea, it's all over the internet. They have not hid that because they can't cover that one up. And then unfortunately, it gets even worse. This progressive idea gets taken to the entire next level when Adolf Hitler murders 11 million Jews, Roma, and various other groups that he deemed were inferior. His progressive idea of creating a master race based on advanced science, which was based on fake bunk science. So real quick, just to go over social Darwinism. Social Darwinism is a theory that individuals or groups and peoples are subjected to the same Darwinian laws of natural selection of plants and animals. The idea that, that different animals and plants develop different characteristics over millions and millions of years that make one animal or plant better than the other. That's fine for animals and plants over the course of millions and millions of years. That's not what happened for human beings. That does not It just did not happen. It's just fake science. It was fake science. It was a fake idea stretched and twisted just to justify racist ideas and beliefs and racist practices. It's been largely discredited. Simply, it's just a scientific support for racism. That is all this thing is. It's scientific racism. And it was fake science at that. All right, next video. Now we'll switch back. Now that gives you a bit of a background of what we're talking about during this time period. Definitely a racist time. 1887, we closed the frontier. We've pretty much conquered or conquested or stolen, however you want to look at it. If you're doing the old Howard Zinn route, which is what we are looking heavily at today. A lot of our world history or U.S. history, this lesson's Howard Zinn. So we're going definitely, although I started the lesson anti-progressive, we are now going to go back towards the views of the progressive, which is what Howard Zinn mainly takes. 1886, he actually takes the views of Howard Zinn. He will bash anyone and everyone in his account of history. So we've closed the frontier and we're out of land. That's a bit of an issue. Why is that an issue? So as we moved further west and we conquered the frontier, we conquered new land. That made new land available for people to live. And more people means we can sell more goods, manufacture more wagon wheels, manufacture homes, sell whatever it is. More people means more sales. It also means we can sell more farm goods. Again, it's awesome. It's great for our economy. As we pushed west, more people moved in. That increased in sales. Now, we've conquered all the land. There's no more land available. That means no more people are coming in. We're going to sell less goods. We're going to sell less farm goods. That's not necessarily good for the economy. So at that time, America, going into the 20th century, 1900, we're looking for new markets to sell. We got to keep sales up. Well, we're out of markets here. We're going to have to look to overseas markets, other countries. We got to sell corn. We don't have any more people here. We got to find new people to buy our corn, to buy our tennis shoes, to buy our pants. Europe, when they were kicked out of North America and South America, they went to Africa and they colonized Africa. These were their markets. They didn't necessarily sell to these markets much, although they did a little bit. They mainly stole the resources from these markets. We will not get involved in this because at the time of the Scramble for Africa, we are still conquering mainland North America. We're still settling the West. We are still doing, our military is dealing with reconstruction in the South. We just really aren't in a position to go into Africa. Now, we'll look back and say, well, no, the real reason we didn't go into Africa is like, we're just doing it different. We're not imperialists. We don't want to conquer land. Well, what did you do with the American Indians? Didn't you conquer their land? Isn't that what we did? Yeah, well, that's different though. But we're doing it because we're the best and we're just trying to help weak people out. We're going to steal their land, but we're doing it for the good of the people. We're not going in to steal their stuff. We're not going to go in there, put them into slavery and imprison them. We're going into new countries. Our imperialism is good imperialism. And we'll see that in some of these political cartoons. Stealing land, but doing it for the good of the people. And you can see that, oh, well, it's just America is trying to help out these savages, these inferior, dark-colored people. Again, there's that idea of social Darwinism. And we use the social Darwinism to defend that, look, we are a superior race. The science says that scientifically we are better than them. So it is our duty then to go into these countries and lift them up and to civilize them and westernize them and modernize them and teach them about math and science. And we use the science of social Darwinism, this bogus science, to justify our racism. Whereas the regular idea, the more conservative, laid-back idea, like, we probably should leave people alone, stay out of this and not do these things. Here's another idea. We go into the Philippines, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and we're going to civilize them. We're going to teach them the ways of the white man. It's racist. It's just simply racist, and we know we're stealing their land, but what we do is we use the idea of social Darwinism, and we use it to justify, no, we're better than you, and we're going to make you better. It's all okay. It's good. We're all right. Switching gears a little bit, giving a little bit more background knowledge again. So the whole lessons over the next couple of videos are going to be the bad things that America does. And that's just how Howard Zinn rules. It's basically to smash America. It's all right. We're not perfect. Anyway, so what we're talking about here is the U.S. is always right. Everything that we do is justified. When we fight a war, don't ask questions, just fight. That is extreme patriotism. That's called Jingoism. So if over here I've got patriotism, which is supporting your country, loving your country, fighting for your country, supporting your country, but sometimes your country isn't right, and you have to question the actions of your country. You have to question the laws of your country. You got to question the wars of your country. You support it, but you're only willing to go so far. Now, over here on the extreme end is Jingoism, and that's where you don't question your country. You go all in, you support everything you do, and if anyone says anything bad about your country, you tell them shut up, which would be the opposite of Mr. Howard Zinn. He would, I don't know what the word for him would be, anarchist almost, or extreme. He's beyond, I don't even think progressive is the right word to describe Howard Zinn. But an extreme patriotism, you don't question the actions, and that's a good idea. It's another background. We had the social Darwinism, we had this racism kind of in the spirit of the times, and the zeitgeist in the minds of the people while America is getting ready to take over these other countries. We have this racist background where, you know what, we're going to take over other countries. We're going to take care of these people because we are superior. We are stronger than them. But also Jingoism then adds another layer to that where not only are we have some racist ideas that we're using to take over other people, but we also aren't questioning the government. We think that, no, it's for the good of the country. We need to take this land because we need new markets. And if we have new markets, we can sell goods to those countries. So it's okay that we're going into the country and killing thousands and thousands of people. It's okay that we're going all over the world, fighting wars where we shouldn't be. It's okay because our country is doing the right thing. Well, no, they're not. We're just stealing from other people. Modern examples of extreme Jingoism, or of Jingoism, which is extreme patriotism. After 9/11, almost no one questioned anything that our government was doing. No one spoke poorly of the military. If you spoke poorly of the military after 9/11, then you would be shouted at and screamed at and yelled at. These things happen often. And then when you have that, when you have America, it's 100% behind you, oftentimes the government will abuse this power and will abuse this love and invade other countries. And so we get Iraq, Afghanistan. This is an old map because it doesn't even have Libya, Syria, Yemen, some of the other bigger issues that have happened in the Middle East that we haven't questioned the government. The government's basically been given free reign to do whatever it wants to do. So that's defining Jingoism. Imperialism, if you want to define this. Simple, easy way of understanding it is when a stronger nation takes over a weaker nation, and usually by force. Why do they do this? To exploit the resources, be it natural or human. You go in, you steal oil, coal, diamonds, rare earth metals. You just take them. You go in, you beat the people up, you take over the country, and you steal the goods from the ground. Or you go in, you steal the stuff from the ground, but you also take advantage of the human capital, which is the human beings. You get them to do the labor. You get them to help you get it to where you need to get it. Sometimes in a version of slavery, sometimes not in the version of slavery. But either way, you go into the country, not only can you use the natural resources, but you can use the people and you can sell goods back to the people. And then the other reason for a stronger nation in imperialism taking over a weaker nation is geographic advantages for your military. You need bases and shipping ports all over. If I want to fight a war with someone, I need to be as closest to them as possible. So what you do is you go conquer as many countries as possible so you can set up the bases all over the earth. So it's really easy for you to invade a place real quickly. First on our list of imperialistic activities is Japan in 1853. Commodore Matt C. Perry simply sails over to Japan, pulls up, and simply says, hey, you see that boat over there? It's got some really big guns. And if you do not trade, because Japan wants nothing to do with anybody. Japan thinks that they are the descendants of the sun god, and they are the best nation on earth, and they don't need to deal with anybody. And for the longest time, they would not deal with anybody until Matt Perry sails up and says, look, we got some big guns, and we're going to blow you up if you don't sail with us or don't trade with us. You have to trade with us, please. Well, I'm not even going to say please. Just look at my gun. There's no please here. I'm going to shoot you if you do not allow us to open up a market. And Japan says, okay. Weaker nation taking over stronger nation taking over a weaker nation to exploit not necessarily the natural resources, but the humans in terms of selling goods to them. This is a more benign form of imperialism. And I guess if there's any way to do it, then this would be the nicest. We simply buy Alaska from Russia, cash. This is called Seward's Folly because it's a mistake at the time. They think, oh my gosh, Seward, who I believe was the Secretary of State, purchased Alaska for Russia. And the American people at the time said, you moron, you idiot, you're wasting our money. Why don't you do it the right way? Just go in and kill the Russians and steal their land. Don't spend the money. Okay. Anyway, well, they take some time to reflect on their attacks on Mr. Seward and realize, holy crap, Alaska's pretty big. And holy crap, Alaska's got oil. That seems like it's a pretty good deal to me. We'll get into Captain Alfred Thayer in the next video, but to review, And there it is. So social Darwinism, Jingoism, Imperialism. Basically, social Darwinism is bogus science to justify racism by saying that white people are superior to black people. Jingoism, extreme patriotism, and then imperialism, stronger nation taking over a weaker nation to exploit its resources. See you later.